All right, so we're recording right now, so this is going to be official.
Outstanding.
Outstanding and terrific,
I'm excited.
but improving.
This is going to be fun.
So this is our first one together.
It is our first one.
This is my
We're at
friend
a distant.
Michael Copperwhite, my buddy Michael Copperwhite, great guy. We were friends
thrilled to
since the
be.
mid-'80s, I think, right?
What's that?
We've been friends since the mid-'80s.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Never had a fight.
Nope.
Not yet. You know why? Because I'm the leader. Which way did they go? So are you a football fan?
Football fan. I'm a sports fan.
Sports
So
fan.
football and baseball at the top of my lists.
Yeah. So
Love
this
it
year
both.
was a
I'm getting
crazy year for Tampa, or 2020 was a crazy year for Tampa, sports-wise.
I was so excited. I was rooting for Tampa the whole way through. And so you live in that area, but for those who are just looking at this for the first time, I'm a New Englander. And I think most of us up here have been rooting for Brady since he left the Patriots and just wanted to be supportive. And I think most people would say if the Patriots were playing Tampa Bay, they would root for the Patriots. But once we were out, everybody was so psyched for Tom. I think there's a couple of people out there who still don't like him because he left. But, oh, how exciting for him. I mean, talk about greatest of all time, no questions asked.
No questions asked, yeah. So I have been a Patriots fan for a long, long time. But I've been in Florida, in Tampa, for 29 years. You know, so I kind of like both teams. But if they were playing each other, I would have gone for the Patriots. And I was upset when I heard that Tom was leaving the Patriots. But then when I heard he was coming here, I said, well, all right, it might not be so bad.
And who would have ever thought? We were talking last week about Tampa Bay has become, trophy town.
Yeah, we had the Super Bowl, of course. The Lightning won the Stanley Cup. The Rays went to the World Series. Then there's also the Rowdies that people don't know, the soccer team. And the Rowdies won the Eastern Division Championship.
Rowdies.
You know how when of a Super Bowl, they always say about how many people watched the Super Bowl. And I know the numbers were down this year, but there was actually more viewing of the Super Bowl in the Boston area than the Tampa area.
Really?
That says something amazing. People still like Uncle Tom.
Oh, everybody loves him. How do you not love this guy? I mean, we're insulated in New England because, we don't realize the hatred for New England teams outside of New England because we're here. But I don't know. Tom seems different to me in terms of he's just a class act, and
he is a class act. You know what? Too, when I have friends here that are football fans, and they knew that I was a Patriots fan, they'd say, "Oh, they're a bunch of cheaters, this and that." They're always complaining about Tom, and they didn't like him. And all of a sudden, when Tom signed here, it was like a miracle. Everybody likes him already. Even before he started playing, they liked him.
It was more than a generation ago where people played for a team and there was a loyalty to a team.
Right. Yeah.
I'm reminded Jerry Seinfeld has a great line about everyone's going everywhere, and all we're really doing anymore is rooting for laundry.
I like that.
In fact, I remember in 2003, the Red Sox were supposed to get A-Rod.
Wow.
And we were excited, and then he went to the Yankees, and we instantly hated him because he was wearing the wrong laundry. It's funny how that happens.
That's pretty cool.
Wow.
So I had a rough start this morning.
You did?
Yeah, the police were at my house. They were knocking on my door like crazy. So I opened the door and I said, "What's going on?" They said, "We have a report that your dog is chasing a kid on a bike." I said, "That's not my dog because my dog doesn't even have a bike." Shut the case right down. Boom.
I'm always doing that. That's funny.
Oh. That's your rim shot now? That's your rim shot?
That's right. We'll have a lot of that going on. I can't not tap everything around me, including myself.
Did you see that video I sent you about the rim shot thing with the comedian and the drummer?
You know what? I opened it and then I forgot to go back and watch the two because there's two videos in there, right?
Yeah, one of them was the guy doing comedy with the other guy in the drums. That was that was funny. But the other one is a comedian that's actually a really good drummer. So
Oh,
he was doing some really good stuff on the drums, but he was doing comedy along with it. It's really cool.
huh.
Yeah. So what's the
So
temperature
how's
like
the
up there?
weather? How's the weather this morning, Tampa? What were you doing this morning?
It's nice. It's I think right now it's probably in the high 50s or something, which is
I was
cold for
shoveling
us.
this morning, just to let you know.
How much?
I was shoveling this morning. It snowed for like 24 hours and it only accumulated to about 4 inches. But they're cleaning up the pathways and the porches.
Yeah. Yeah, I sold my shovel a long time ago, back in
You
'91.
did. You moved out in 29 years. You've been down there.
Yeah.
It's so funny what time does. And I tell people the story about you and our friendship. And I always talk, hey, gosh, he's been down there for 10, got to be 15 years now. That's what I usually say. It's been 29.
29, yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Time is a funny thing the more that we experience it.
So sometimes when I go up north,
Which
when
is,
I'm talking to my family and friends up there, they say, "So when you coming back home?" I say, "That's not home. I've spent more years in Tampa Bay than I spent in Massachusetts. So that's not really home anymore. This
wow,
is home." You know what I mean?
that is amazing.
Isn't it?
And how old were you when you moved to Massachusetts?
10 years old.
Oh, you were 10.
Yeah. I'm from the Azores, as you know, which
I
is
know that.
which is a group of Portuguese islands. The island that I'm from, I think was actually surrounded by water.
I heard that about that island of yours. I
uh,
also heard earlier this week, people are often shocked to find out how far the Azores is off the coast of Portugal. And it's hard to even get your mind around the fact that that's part of Portugal.
it's like almost 1,000 miles off of the coast of Portugal, and 2,800 miles from Boston. It's out in the middle of
Wow.
nowhere.
I guess somebody had to claim them. Portugal said, we'll take them.
Yeah, Portugal used to have all kinds of land everywhere.
So you're 10 years old and you come to America.
Yeah,
Did you speak any English?
no.
Wow.
So when I learned English, because I started hanging around with American kids at school and stuff, so I learned it fairly quickly. But when people found out that I was from another country, they'd say, "Man, you speak English good," and I'd say, "You mean I speak it well?"
Did your parents speak English?
No, nothing.
Everybody just came to America.
Just came to America. Yeah.
And then they just immersed you into regular school and said he'll figure it out?
Yeah. So when I went to school, I had no idea what the teacher was saying. I didn't speak a word of English. So sometimes she'd ask me questions or something, and I didn't answer because and actually there was two girls that I got to know afterwards that were Portuguese that spoke Portuguese, but they wouldn't speak up either because I guess they were embarrassed or something. I don't know what it was. So so crazy. And now I speak four
So you're
languages.
10 years old. What is it, fourth grade, fifth grade? Would you jump into?
I finished fourth grade in the Azores, but when I came to America, and my cousins went to register us at school, and they asked what grade are you in, so I said fourth, because I didn't know that I was actually.
Right.
So they put me in fourth grade. So I did fourth grade in the Azores, in fourth grade here. So fourth grade was the best 2 years of my life.
I can't even imagine this. I mean, this is a different world today. This is unheard of today. They just stuck you in an English speaking class, English speaking school. He'll figure it out.
Yeah. So
Do you have any recollection of how long it took you to become fluent in English?
No, but you know what's interesting? I told this story the other day. Back in the Azores, we used to listen to the radio, and during those years, the Beatles were always on.
Mm.
So I used to sing along with the Beatles, not knowing what they were saying, but I sang along with them as well as I could, And then one time when I was in America,
singing English words without any understanding what they were.
right. So then when I learned the English, one time the song came on with the Beatles song, and I'm singing along with it like I used to. And all of a sudden it dawned on me that I knew what they were saying. I was like, "What the heck?"
Wow.
That was strange.
Oh, do you remember what song it was?
I think it was Yellow Submarine, but it was one of those songs that the lyrics when I started singing after I spoke English, the lyrics didn't really make sense to me anyway, but I knew what they were saying. It was like, what the heck? Wow, this is so strange.
Even with English as my first and only language, a lot of the Beatles lyrics don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So
I'm still trying to figure those out.
Now I speak 4 languages.
Ooh.
English, Portuguese, Spanish, and profanity.
Profanity.
Don't make me prove it.
Are you fluent there? Conversational? How do you rank yourself?
I rate pretty highly.
Wow.
So here's an interesting story about languages. When I moved to Phoenix, I lived in Phoenix for 3 years, went there in 1980. And I was working for a company called Sperry Rand Avionics.
Sperry Rand, I know that name.
So the room that I was working in, there's 3 guys, a Mexican guy, an Italian guy, and me, the Portuguese guy. So I'm sitting there, I'm talking to them, my first time talking to these guys, but they're not really talking to me, they're like, then they started talking to each other, and the Mexican guy was speaking Spanish, the Italian guy was speaking Italian, and they were having a conversation, they're communicating. And the interesting thing is I was understanding about 80% of what both of them were saying. Because Spanish and Italian and Portuguese are similar languages.
That's so funny.
That's why I started speaking in Portuguese. They looked at me like, whoa. So the 3 of us would communicate with 3 different languages. Not 100%, but enough to get by, if you know what I mean.
Enough to understand all the...
Yeah.
I've always heard that about Portuguese and Spanish. I got a friend of mine I spent a lot of time with who's from Brazil, and Portuguese is his first language, and he's completely fluent in English.
Right.
But he's always talked about, like, yeah, if I'm with someone Spanish, I can kind of figure it out.
Yeah, so it's cool, kind of cool.
And then, well, you also have another language, because I know this guy because he plays guitar, and I listen to him talk to other guitar players, and that's a whole separate language. I speak guitar because you guys talk about, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I can't keep track.
So if I go to the music store, say Mash or Guitar Center or something, they always have those little small ukuleles now. And I'll pick somebody that works there that I haven't seen before, and I grab the ukulele. I say, can I ask you a question? They always say, sure. I say, and I grab the ukulele up here, like really high, a little small guitar, and I say, hey, does this thing make me look fat? They don't know what to say. They're like, no. I say, you lying. I told you to be honest.
They're just trying to sell a ukulele.
So there's one guy out of, I don't even know how many I've done this with, but one of the guys said, sir, you look fat, but it's not because of the guitar, it's because of you. I said, hey.
And you said to him, that's too honest.
I gave him a high five. I said, you're the only one that I've asked this question to that was actually honest about it. Everybody else says no. He was funny.
That is funny.
So drummers have their own language too, don't they?
I suppose that's true. I was going to make a joke and say most of are still trying to figure out English, but yes.
Yeah. So most people don't know Michael's a good drummer. He's a motivational speaker, an all-around good dad, and so on, and a good friend. It's great to talk to you, man, even on Zoom.
God, who is this guy? I want to meet him. You're very kind.
What's the name of your band that you're in now?
Still Face. We are an all-original instrumental rock band.
Say the name of the band again.
Still Face. STILLFACE.
So you guys don't move around your face, you don't smile, nothing, just.
It's an interesting story how that whole thing came about, but Still Face. In fact, we're just actually getting ready to get a CD done and a digital platform. Isn't that funny? I mean, all music is digital, but for this to be real for me, I have to have a CD. Isn't that weird? But so there will be a digital platform. We're just doing photo shoots with a friend of mine, and together. So the website URL stillfaceband.com links to our Facebook page, and it's kind of fun. We're anxious. Oh my gosh, this whole COVID thing has been, we were playing out and it's just so fun after all those hours in the garage or the basement and all that rehearsal and writing, all stuff you do, to then bring it out to the public and share your art, share your craft, share what you're doing with people and have them like it in a live music setting. It's just so inspiring. And it's been over a year since we've done it. And we're hoping to turn a corner on this thing and do some stuff this summer.
Yeah. I was watching the day of Joe Rogan. He was interviewing David Lee Roth from Van Halen. And he was talking about how recording is so different now, because years ago, musicians would go into the studio, recording studio, and the guitar player would play his lead. But then what they started doing is that they do all these different takes. So there'd be like 7 or 8 different types of leads that the guy did, and then they take portions of that one, and kind of put it all together. So now the player, like Evan Halen, for example, now had to learn the lead the way that the thing's going to be on the record, because that's not the way he would do the lead. But he did a bunch of different things, and they put, what I mean, they kind of took 6 different things and put them together into one lead. So he had to learn how to do that, because he never did that before as a one unit. You know what I mean?
And it's him. And it's him.
Yeah. That's
Splicing, yes.
Yeah. Wow.
That's funny. That's funny. We just had some fun in the recording studio recently, but we did it instead of just tracking everything, we just did a live recording in the recording studio. So we didn't have the ability to start dropping this solo out and that stuff. We had a chance to kind of equalize some of the volumes and some of the, how everything sounds, but not to start splicing and piecing together songs. It was fun. It was a great experience.
So, my band, Oyster Bone, we used to play a lot at the place called the Capitol Beer House in downtown Clearwater.
Yeah.
They've closed down. So, but one time we're playing there, and this guy comes up and says, "Hey, check this out." And he gives us a CD. So what's this? He goes, "Listen to it. You're gonna love it." So I get in the car after the show, and I put the CD in, and it was us playing. So he had one of those little Zoom recorders, and he had it on top of his table, and they recorded the prior time they were playing there. He recorded the whole show.
Wow.
And so it was pretty cool, except for, you could hear the people at the table where he was sitting, talking and stuff.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So
it gives you a good feel for the sound quality, I bet, and how you sound to an audience, because you're not in the audience.
That's it right there.
Oh, look at that. And you guys might as well be the house. You guys might as well be the house band over at Silver King. Is that what it's called? Silver King Brewing Company?
Yeah, we were the house band for a long time, but then they started bringing other people, other talent in that wanted to come in.
Nerve of them.
Some of them are like two guys on acoustic guitars or something. So they don't charge as much as we do. So we still play quite a bit, but not as much as we used to.
Right.
And because of COVID last year, it was kind of tough. But
what's happening in your area in terms of? Is there any live music scene with COVID right now in that area?
There is, yeah. When they opened the bars back up, and they have a lot of it. Like our drummer Adrian plays in 2 different bands, and he's playing every weekend with the other one.
Wow.
They have the connections and stuff.
Yeah, nothing's going up here except we're anxious for outdoor stuff. And of course, it's still winter, so we got a couple of cool possibilities coming up for outdoor things this summer. Looking forward to it. So
we're talking about languages before. We played a private gig not too long ago. This guy does Jeep accessories. So he opened up a new business of his own, and he brought the band in, and he invited all these people that know him. He had over 100 Jeeps there. He had a big piece of land, and he had 100 Jeeps, all in a circle. So we're playing at night, and there was lights on us at the stage, but we couldn't really see what's going on out there because the people are in the dark. After we finished the song, everybody was sitting in the Jeeps. They beeped the horns and they flashed the lights. It was really cool. And this was in December, so they had like Christmas lights on the Jeeps, and they'd flashed all the Christmas lights. But there was a little kid there that was the son of the owner of the house that was going around talking to people in a different language. Nobody knew what he was saying. So he was talking to the guys in the band, saying, "Hey," and he just walks up to him and starts speaking a different language. So they finally said, "Hey, if you want to talk a different language, go to Tony over there. He knows all these languages. They're just trying to get rid of him so they can come." So he walks up to me, and he's like about 11 years old. He starts speaking to me in Portuguese. So I answered him, and he goes, "Whoa, you speak Portuguese?" Like he was amazed because nobody else spoke Portuguese. I said, "Well, how'd you learn Portuguese?" He says, "My sister's friend is from Brazil, and she's teaching me and my sister." So because he was learning some Portuguese, I mean, he wasn't totally fluent, but he knew enough to get by. And because he was speaking Portuguese, he was just so proud of himself. He was going around talking to everybody in Portuguese. And when I answered him, he was like, "What the heck?"
Wow. Hey, so how often are you in conversations with people in your world in Portuguese? Do you speak it regularly?
Well, I speak it when I speak to my Portuguese friends, and when I speak to I call my mother every day and
Right.
talk about Portuguese because my sister stuff. But once in a while, they run into some people that are Portuguese, but not often here in Florida anyway.
So you haven't, I mean, I know lots of people who had a primary language, and then as they learned English and became fluent in English, they kind of lost their
Oh no,
ability for their.
I still speak it very fluently. But there was one point because I was going to school. In the school I was going to, there wasn't a lot of Portuguese people, so I was hanging around with my American friends. So I learned English faster than my friends did because they went to a school they had Portuguese, a Portuguese teacher and all that stuff.
Right.
But then one day I was telling my friends, my Portuguese friends, I said, you know what? Something's happening to me lately. I'm thinking in English instead of Portuguese, and they were laughing at me because they thought that was strange. But eventually, that's what happens to everybody.
Yeah.
So I think in English. But if I'm doing math in my head, you know how you do the multiplication. I still do that in Portuguese. You learn the multiplication. Two times two is four.
Right. Like the math is the same, but the language around it is different.
Yes, when I do that, I actually still do it in Portuguese. So that's terrible.
Really?
Yeah. But other than that, I think in English. So my sons are, they're in their 30s, and when they said, "Dad, how come you didn't teach us Portuguese?" I said, "Well, English was the first language at home, so I wanted talking to you guys." Mom said, "Well, how come you didn't teach me Portuguese?" I says, "Listen, my parents didn't teach me English, but I speak it." Right?
Way to throw it back on them, slackers.
That means you can learn on your own. You don't need me to teach you.
Oh, that's funny.
Not like they'd have a lot of use for it, but still, it's a cool thing.
My daughter took in college, speaking of language, she took 3 semesters of American Sign Language.
Wow.
In college, and she was getting like conversational. And I've always I haven't done much with this yet, but I've always had this interest in learning how to speak sign language. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah, it would be. Wow. Huh.
I just remember I was in this convention, and I guess there was enough light going on, but there was a lot of music or something between things going on. And there was these 2 women who were speaking sign language to each other. They had to be 20 yards apart, sitting in this convention with a lot of music going on, and they were talking, and I remember looking at it going, wow, that is amazing to me. That was just cool. It was just one of these things you remember that had to be 10 years ago.
Right, and the music wasn't interfering with your communication because, if you and I talking and the music's loud, it interferes. If we're doing sign language, it doesn't interfere.
Amazing. Yeah. And then, of course, you have the whole language of music. I mean, how much does music
about robotics?
Okay. What is that? That's sign language. We all know a little. That's funny. Music is its own language. I mean, how often have we been moved by listening to music?
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So I have a good friend down here that has been learning to play the bass, and he just bought a guitar because he wants to play the guitar too. But he says, "How do you guys do it?" And he says, "I'm trying to do those chords, but my fingers are too fat, and it touches the other strings." And he's going on and on. I says, "Your fingers aren't any fatter than mine. You just have to keep doing it until you get it." It's like learning a new language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then playing live is sharing that language with people. Yeah, interesting.
Crazy, yeah.
Interesting analogy.
So I have Terry told me one day that one of her friends, her friend's husband, is a guitar player, and I like the guy, but I didn't know he was a guitar player. So they came over to the house one time for dinner, and I told him to bring his guitar and his amp. So we started playing, right? I said, "So what do you play?" He goes, "Oh, I don't know. I haven't played since I was in high school. I played back in the high school. I played in the band." So what were you playing? Like 70s music, 80s music? It's the 70s. I said, "Okay, play something." And he started playing some stuff, and I started going along with him. We kind of knew same songs. So halfway through the 3rd song, I look over at him, and he's got tears in his eyes. So I said, "What's up, man? Are you okay?" He goes, "No, you don't understand. I haven't played with anybody since high school. He's my age. He said, "This is amazing to me." Like he just got emotional because he's actually playing with somebody else. He plays at home on his own, but it's different when you play with somebody else.
Wow. It's funny, before you shared that story, I was going to ask or just comment. I think everybody, I know you and I, this is true for the two of us, but probably anybody listening, there's been times just like driving by myself in my car, listening to some music, and just brings tears to your eyes.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, really.
that happens to me. If I'm watching like those talent shows that they have where people competition shows singing and stuff or music.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I see a young kid that just is so amazing, it brings tears to my eyes.
Does that have something to do with the age of the kid who's singing?
Just it's when somebody has that much talent, whether they're young or not,
Right.
it just gets to you. It's like it's hard to explain.
But there's something about a kid, isn't there?
Oh yeah, that's amazing. Huh.
Now I'm trying to think of some of the music because it's probably different for everybody. What kind of music brings that out in you? Fascinating.
Yeah,
And is it the music or is it the lyrics? Interesting.
Well, the music sometimes if I'm watching a singer, and I'm not really looking at it, just they don't even have a live band. They're just singing to music that's being played, and sometimes the talent is so unbelievable that it gets to you. I don't know how somebody could not get emotional for that.
So emotion around the musicianship of the talent of the players.
Yeah, but sometimes if I see musicians playing the guitar and they're like exceptionally good, I'm like, wow. It just you get the shivers and stuff. It's like, what the heck? And as a guitar player, I've never given anybody shivers. Yet.
I don't know. I was a little nervous about this podcast. I was shivering earlier. So.
Oh yeah, but it's cold up there. Here down here, there's no need to shiver.
No, that's true. Might not have been it was just the weather. That's true.
But like this morning was in the low 50s. I almost had to wear my winter shorts.
It's kind of cold for that area right now, isn't it? 50s.
Yeah, it's actually we have sometimes we have a day here and a day there, but this winter so far we've had a few days where it's like in a row it's in the 50s and stuff. Some in the 40s at night. Like, what the heck?
I got some friends in Texas, boy, they had a tough week with some crazy weather down there and no electricity and.
No electricity. A lot of them don't have water. They don't have food, and then but they have a lot of those wind fan, the fans for the wind power to have electricity, but they're all frozen.
Yeah.
So they're not working.
Hopefully they're getting back to normal.
Yeah.
What's happening with COVID and you? Are you anxious to get a vaccine? Where are you at with that? What's happening?
I'm not sure about the vaccine. Yeah, I've never had a cold vaccine, the flu vaccine. And then just yesterday I was reading something that where Bill Gates somehow is involved in all this stuff now. And he says when you take the vaccine, your DNA will be changed for life, forever. I'm like, whoa. What does that mean?
I didn't hear that.
No, yeah, he's a crazy dude lately. Somehow he's involved in all this stuff, and I think he wanted to sell all the vaccines himself or something so he can make a lot of money. I don't know. Just weird.
It's interesting. There wasn't a lot of conversation. Like it just started, there was this race to get it out and now we've got several companies with these products coming to market. The distribution seems to be the tough part and getting them into people's arms. But there wasn't much conversation about yes or no, like here this is. I think there's a lot of misinformation, like it's not like a polio vaccine where you get this and you're guaranteed not to get this virus. It's just supposed to lower the odds. But I suppose that gets into the more people we can get vaccinated to lower all those odds, this can maybe go away.
So how do you feel about
it? It's been a tough thing in Massachusetts this past week. Was it Thursday morning? I don't know if you heard about this, but I've always assumed that I'm going to be towards the end of the list of people who are eligible. My dad, thank God, is alive and well. He was 95, just had a birthday. And he doesn't get out much. And so he just had a visiting nurse saying, are we going to get a vaccine? I said, yeah. And she's like, good luck in trying to get this, walking me through how to do it. But this past week, they just lowered the ages limits from 75 to 65 in Massachusetts. I'm only speaking for our state.
Yeah.
So 1 million people were instantly eligible in one day. and it crashed the computer system in the first hour.
Wow.
And so they're still trying to figure out everything up here.
Now, do you have any
The
thoughts?
the nurse actually said to me, let me put this in perspective. West Virginia has done better than Massachusetts on this. I'm like, wow. Oh.
Do you feel, are you gonna get the vaccine? Do you have any thoughts on it?
I don't, I'm sure I will eventually, just because I guess, I don't know. I haven't researched why not to. And I even asked the nurse, is there a reason not to do this? She's like, do you want to be sick for 2 weeks? And I go, no. And she said, still get it. But the cynic in me says, what is all this and what's going on and all that kind of stuff. And then of course there's some funny, I heard a funny one with somebody said, the same people who are saying, I'm not putting that vaccine in you don't even know what's in that. And the same people saying, hey, look, the McRib is back. So I don't know. I was hearing that, I heard Biden saying that everybody in the US who wants a vaccination will hopefully be able to get it done by the end of July. So I'm hopeful that sometime this summer we can start to round a corner. I hesitate to use the word normal anymore in our society, but won't it be fun when we can see people and play live music and go to restaurants and hug and, oh my goodness.
So I have some friends now that are from Massachusetts that are visiting down here. And to them, Florida seems very normal compared to what it is in Massachusetts, because I guess they can't do much up there.
Yeah.
Well, all the restaurants are open.
I was on an appointment for work this week, and I was meeting a prospective customer of our company, and I commented and I said, I've actually gotten used to not shaking hands. And I thought, wow, how sad is that? I mean, for a few months I was doing the elbow bump, and we don't even do that anymore. And it's like it's taken its toll. I don't know. It's taking its toll on our culture, or is it just changing our culture? It's really a new culture in terms of distancing, because I'm a touchy person, as you know, and so I'm actually used to not shaking someone's hand, and I'm like, boy, I don't like that.
That's a big thing for me too, because you know me, I'm always talking to people and joking around, and I love to shake hands with people and stuff, but it's strange.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope it comes back.
So crazy, huh? What else is going on in your life up there?
I listened to a podcast this morning. We got baseball seasons around the corner. Coming back to sports. I'm excited about that. That should be fun.
So I just got
baseball seems to be going away as a sport. Football's certainly taken over the past couple decades, and I think baseball is trying to do things like speed the game up and stuff like that. But I just love the idea of being a fan of baseball. So I try to be a better fan every year and pay attention and listen and watch. And that being said, I never sit down and watch a 9-inning game. I just can't. It's just either doesn't fit the schedule, too much time. Here in Worcester, the Boston Red Sox AAA affiliate, which was called the Pawtucket Red Sox for decades, played out of Pawtucket, Rhode Island, just moved to Worcester. They became the Worcester Red Sox. So we're excited about this.
Wow.
And building a new stadium. And it's almost done. If you go by the outside, you go, wow, that's done. And it's not, but they're getting there, and they're trying to have a season this year. So I was just online looking for tickets, and it's fun for our little city. I say little city, but it's going to be good. It's going to be a good draw. I'm excited about it.
I was talking to somebody yesterday about Worcester. It's funny because people that aren't from there think it's I don't even know how you spell Worcester, because it's not Worcester, it's Worcester.
It is correct.
But Worcester. They actually put an AH at the end, Worcester.
In fact, you just inspired me, and I just had this thought. So I already know what I'm going to wear for a shirt for our next podcast. How do you like that?
Wow, cool. You going to share that information or not?
It'll be available during the next podcast.
So basically, you're trying to nail down the next podcast.
They're going to have to hammer that out. And it can't happen before middle of this week, because I don't own this piece of clothing yet, but I don't want to give it away either.
So my oldest son, Josh, the one who lives in Norway, is a big baseball fan, big Red Sox fan. He actually lived at the Fenway, which is an area near the Fenway Park there.
Yeah, he did, huh?
And he used to have a joke about the Tampa Bay Rays. He says, sometimes I like to go to the Tampa Bay Rays game because sometimes I just want to be alone where it's nice and quiet. Because they didn't have a lot of people attending sometimes, so that was the joke.
Well, the Rays put themselves on the map with the past couple of years, but for the years before that, it was, that was a joke because most humor has some thread of truth to it, which is why it's funny.
Yeah.
And I remember being at the Trop, right? Tropicana Dome.
Yeah.
They still call it that.
Yeah.
My son and I, years ago, would take baseball trips every summer. Just he and I, father, son, jump in the car and do a long weekend and try to squeeze in 2 or 3 baseball parks. And we went Montreal Expos. So it was the last season the Expos were in the league. We went to Montreal all the way down to Miami. And so we took in a bunch. Wow. And we were at the Trop. And but I do remember hearing from people there that the only time that place ever filled up was when Tampa Bay was playing the Red Sox or the Yankees, and everybody showed up.
That's true.
Yeah. But now they got a name to themselves, and man, that was exciting.
And they're really a low budget team because they don't have a lot of money, and they still have some good players. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's a bit of a dichotomy in the league in terms of big money and small money teams, and I think outside of Tampa, they had a lot of people rooting for them in the series. I was, just because I tend to if I don't have a dog in the fight, then I'm going to root for the underdog, and they certainly were. I thought they're going to pull it off.
I don't know if I told you, I just got a part-time job. I'm a ballet instructor.
A ballet instructor?
But my passion is still figure skating.
I understand.
Yeah,
that makes sense to me. I know, but I know you. Everybody else doesn't.
Oh, shoot.
Tell me something I don't know.
So I'm on this free Zoom thing doing this. And I think they allow 40 minutes is what they allow.
I've lost track of time. How far in are we? I just enjoy talking to you. Where are we?
I think we're about 40 minutes, but we'll see. We can keep talking, and if it cuts us out, it cuts us out.
And we were talking, you and I, around this idea and trying to come up with how long should a podcast be? And I think we kind of agreed that for now, this is a decent time frame because as a listener, if I see podcasts that are too long, I just get intimidated.
Right.
Like I've been a podcast listener for years, and I just got turned on to Joe Rogan recently. Like, how did that happen? I had no idea that he was out there doing what he's done. So when I subscribe to his podcast, I'm looking at these episodes, 3 hours, and I'm like, oh my God, it's intimidating to even start. Although I haven't, I think he's amazing.
He's the king of podcasts.
Well, I think once he hears about this, he'll be a little nervous, but that's all right. It's important to be confident.
Yeah. Yeah, he's probably going to call us and say, what are you guys doing, man? I don't need any more competition. That's awesome.
What do I need to do to make you guys go away?
How much? How much do I have to
I guess what we have to do is we have to come up a name for this, and then we have to, license it so we can sell it to him.
Wow.
So we got to get our ducks in a row here.
It won't be long before
he buy us out. We got to give him something to buy,
Won't be long before he invites us to be guests in his podcast.
Oh, that's a better way to go. All right, you're right. We can all be friends. We can all just get along.
Did you hear my phone ringing?
No.
My caller ID said potential spam.
Oh.
That's a funny name. The first name is Potential. His last name is Spam. What kind of name is that?
I thought it was a lunch suggestion.
No, he calls me all the time. Oh. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, well, potentially I could have some spam.
Wow.
Let's see. We could have some smoked oysters. I'm out of spam.
Smoked oysters?
That's funny you say that. Something happened to my iPhone last year, and out of nowhere, I started getting these caller IDs that said telemarketer. And I'm like, oh, this is beautiful.
Wow.
So, I don't answer those calls. Oh, I know we're almost out of time, but you love to talk to telemarketers. Maybe we'll hold that for next time. What do you think? Should we give our audience a holdover to say, make sure you come back next time and hear how Tony talks to telemarketers?
Yeah, I actually do like that. I'm trying to find something here to show you. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I just got a new iPhone.
I think I might have had one of those.
Can you see it? So one of the things
you're not breaking the other one out yet, are you? We should maybe hold that till the next time. We got to give people a reason to come back. Not that this conversation has been stimulating enough for them to say, I got to get back and see what kind of shirt this other guy wears.
So one time I was at the grocery store buying some stuff, and Terry said, make sure you get some shower gel. So I'm trying to find the best deal in the shower gel. You know, they have like Irish Spring and Dial and Dove and this and that. I'm trying to figure out the most ounces for the price. Then I had 2 bottles in my hand, one of each. So I came home and I bought them. I had them on top of the kitchen table, and I was taking a picture of them. And Terry said, what's that? I said, it's a joke. She goes, what's a joke? I said, it's dial tone. I don't know if you can see it.
You having trouble with your dial tone?
So then when I go to the mall or something, there's all these guys trying to sell phones.
Yeah.
I say, listen, I'm not going to buy a phone from you guys because I have one now. I hooked up to the Wi-Fi, and now my dial tone is stuck. They're like, and someone trying to grab the phone out of my hand so they can figure out what's going on and fix it. Some of them are smart enough to say, well, cell phones don't have dial tone. And I would say, yeah, well, mine does. Then I showed my dial tone.
And you showed them that, and they laughed appropriately.
Some of them laughed. Some of them like, oh, you got me there. You know.
Although, if they're too young, millennial-wise, they might not have ever experienced a dial tone in their lives.
That's true, yeah.
So it's not funny to them.
No.
But I bet I know what Terry said to you.
She said,
you spent $3 on both these to take this. Couldn't you have taken that picture at the store and saved $6?
That's what she said. And I said, oh, shut up. We'll use them.
That was my thought, too. You couldn't take that picture in the store?
That's funny stuff, though.
Wow.
Well, cool, Mike.
Well, what do you say we wrap this thing up and look forward to another time?
Yeah, so let's stay in touch, and I'll figure out a way to put this up there so you can see it, if you're okay with that.
I appreciate you, and I value our friendship. Thank you.
Same here, man. Podcast buddies.
That could be a name, Podcast Buddies.
Podcast
Is that taken?
buddies, yeah.
We gotta check some licensing, see what's not.
So when I started doing that other podcast I was doing, my first thought for a name was, because I said, well, how are you going to introduce me? How'd you pick me to be your partner in the podcast? He says, well, I don't know. I said, says, okay, I have an idea. I'm going to be sitting on a sidewalk with a sign that says, we'll podcast for food. And you'll start talking to me and you bring me over. And then, so the name of the podcast will be, we'll podcast for food. Right? He thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Then my plan was to say, yeah, we did that, but I've been here 3 or 4 different times. He still hasn't fed me. So I looked it up because I wanted to get an email for it, and the whole deal. It was already taken. Yeah. Somebody else was already doing a podcast called We'll Podcast for Food.
We'll Podcast for Food was taken.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
I think next time we could talk about some of our favorite podcasts. I would love a conversation about that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty passionate about podcasts. That's awesome.
I know you are, yeah.
We just got to come up with a name. All right. Maybe we'll ask our listeners to help us out.
Ooh, there you go. Maybe we can have a competition.
Oh.
The winner wins a can of smoked oysters.
Or potential spam. Have a great day, my friend.
Thank you. This is fun.
Absolutely. Let's do it again soon.
See you, Mike.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.